to Bubic. He's got one and there's more to come. Bubic with the second there, shuts them down.
One-on-one, so much hard work from the Frenchman. Can they convert? This is make or break. Hunter. And caught off. Absolutely booked. G2. Back now. Captured by the flames. Too low. Extinguish. Up to next. A multi-kill required. Countdown, Bit will finish the job, and Navi's saying we ain't done yet. It was G2 Cephas, still patient, Nexa does the... He kicks open the sight, spots Simple's toes, and oh my god! Electronic core! Simple, Hunter and Nico, how poetic. And it's Simple and Bit. Times it to perfection. And Simple sitting no! Disaster! An absolute disaster!
That was it! That was the game!
Chat, that was it!
Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Released on August 21st, 2012 to a mixed reaction from the established Counter-Strike community, CSGO has enjoyed both highs and lows. Between scandals,
what's going on guys, T-Mart here,
to records,
2021!
The history of CSGO has been as colorful and varied as the players that inhabit its lobbies. As we are approaching the 10th anniversary next year in 2022, I wanted to make a video celebrating the game and explaining why I think even after a decade, CSGO is still thriving and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. It is June 20th, 2012. The final day of DreamHack, a large Counter-Strike 1.6 tournament, and the two finalist teams are about to play their last game on the stage. The score is 1-1 between Na'Vi and Fnatic, Fnatic winning on the fan favorite Dust 2, and Na'Vi dominating on Train. This brings them to their third and final map, Mirage. The casters describe these two teams as giants and Mirage as their playground.
Of this final, we see the giants playing against each other. In the Games of Kings, Mirage will be the playground from this obstacle, so let's kick it off.
These are two of the best teams in CS history, and this final game may be their last chance at a 1.6 championship before the release of the highly anticipated Counter-Strike Global Offensive in August. The game of Counter-Strike is played thus. There are two teams of 5 players. One side being the terrorist side, or T, that are trying to plant a bomb on a bomb site, and the counter-terrorists, aka CT, who are trying to either prevent the plant altogether or defuse the bomb after it has been planted. Players get money throughout the game to purchase equipment, whether that be upgraded armor or different guns, and can also purchase arguably the most important items: smoke grenades, flashbangs, incendiary grenades, etc. These items are known colloquially as utility.
Bullshit. How is that even possible?
The final game of DreamHack starts out as many Counter-Strike pro games do, with a knife round to determine which team will choose the starting side. Na'Vi chooses to start on the CT side. Fnatic gains the upper hand during the initial skirmish, taking out the majority of the players on Na'Vi. The pressure is on for Fnatic to get the bomb down in a 4-on-3 situation. Kerrigan fakes a bomb plant, drawing out an aggressive Na'Vi. Fnatic manages to take round 1, killing all members of Na'Vi. After their crushing defeat on Train, it was a good start for Fnatic. Fnatic manages to steamroll a few more rounds from Na'Vi, after which Na'Vi has their first buy round, meaning their first round with rifles and utility. During this round, Ken9 manages to snatch himself a 3K, effectively winning the round for Na'Vi single-handedly. Now the game was on. At the halfway point, things are looking pretty decisive for Fnatic, who have taken the half 10-5. A team only needs 16 rounds to win, so if they can keep up this energy moving on into the second half, victory is theirs. And they do just that. They successfully win the second pistol round and go on to win DreamHack 2012, marking their second championship win in just a few months' time.
In front of your home crowd.
It is awesome. We won the other tournament as well, so it just feels great. I can't believe it.
Back-to-back championships here at DreamHack, biggest LAN in the world. At what point did you know that you had just secured the win? Was there a flow that was with the team, or was there a particular strategy that was just working?
I think we're really good when we get going. I think it's very hard to stop us when we get a good economy and we have, that's it.
Besides Game Goon 2012, the true last 1.6 tournament before CSGO, this was the last championship stage from 1.6 we would ever see, but not necessarily the last we would see from some of these amazing players. Announced on August 12, 2011, Counter-Strike Global Offensive was highly anticipated, with the last mainline entry in the series releasing in 2004 with Counter-Strike Source. Source was a highly controversial entry in the series, with many disliking its mechanics in the pro scene. Source had some massive initial issues like the netcode, various grenade exploits, and recoil not being as hard to control as in 1.6. Especially during an era where Call of Duty was becoming a big deal in the esports sphere, this ability to seemingly run and gun comparative to 1.6 was looked down upon heavily by some in the CS Pro scene. It was because of this that CS 1.6 was still the game of choice for many major tournaments well into 2012. With the kind of mixed reaction seen from Counter-Strike Source, Valve had a lot of work to do when making a new competitive Counter-Strike game in order to ensure the fractured community and the hard-to-please pro scenes of Source and 1.6 would be willing to make the switch. On August 21st, 2012, CSGO was released, and it blew everyone's mind. This was the game everyone in the CS scene had been waiting for. Updated graphics, the return of fan-favorite maps redone like they had never seen before, familiar mechanics, spray patterns, grenade mechanics that made sense. No. That initial reaction from many pros in the scene was vitriolic. Some saying they would never switch, and that the game felt awful. Despite this, perhaps predictable initial reaction, the reaction from the majority of players of Source and 1.6 was positive, some calling it a perfect mixture of the two.
I don't understand why so many people are complaining, really. It's a bit weird, but I've kind of think that because everyone else is like, it's shit, you're an idiot.
And, as CSGO started having some of its first few tournaments, some of the naysayers of the community began to come around. It wasn't long before CSGO replaced 1.6 and Source in most major tournaments, and even managed to peak at almost 16,000 viewers on Twitch in September of 2012, which, at the time, was an incredible number on the site. CSGO didn't release without its fair share of Valve-induced bugs, and as those bugs began to be sorted out with each new update, the niche CS community was ready for some new content, and a large and important update that would change the game forever was just around the corner. Enter the Arms Deal update. Before we get into the most monumental of the changes in this update, I want to touch on some of the other huge changes this patch introduced. First, this update added 2 new guns that would change the game forever: the M4A1S and the USPS. The M4A1S has gone in and out of fashion, most recently getting a buff that most experts argue makes it superior to the M4A4 by a long shot, and the USPS being the preferred pistol in the competitive sphere for almost the entirety of CSGO's lifespan since it was introduced. These additions would change the competitive scene forever, but the other huge change that came with this update would arguably launch CSGO into a popularity unforeseen by anyone and bring CSGO from a 16,000 viewer peak on Twitch to a massive 2.5 million viewer peak in 2021. Skins. Love them or hate them, these elusive in-game items are a topic all on their own, with separate video essays by the hundreds existing on YouTube arguing whether or not the skins themselves and the cases they are contained in are ethical or even legal in some respects. Helping to popularize the loot boxes even before Overwatch made everyone and their mother want a slice of the RNG pie, CSGO skin cases are the topic of addiction for many. But why? Sure, opening a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards is fun, but what makes CSGO skins so popular? Their connection with real money. The Steam marketplace is laissez-faire capitalism at its peak, with users deciding the value of something through largely unregulated trade. This can result in digital skins worth a few $1,000s, introducing many young minds to the idea of a digital currency of sorts. Hundreds of videos on how to trade up your skins in value to finally get the skin you want, hundreds more making entire YouTube and streaming careers out of opening cases, while those without the means to open cases of their own living vicariously through them. With this rise in lucrative prospects and Valve generating more and more revenue from monetary trade of these various skins, it was only a matter of time before some third party found a way to better monetize it, or possibly exploit it.
What's going on, guys? T-Mart here, and today it's T?
Yep.
No way, dude.
You got it, bro. Wait for the thing to pop down.
Oh, baby! Yes, it just flipped for me. Holy cow.
There are many people out there like Turkey Tom that have made entire videos documenting the entire timeline of how and why CSGO gambling became a thing, and I highly recommend you go watch his video on the topic to get a full grasp as to how this came to be. The main takeaway from this section of CSGO's history is that CSGO skin gambling introduced a whole new demographic of players to the game. Sure, there were some gamblers who didn't even play CSGO but gambled the skins, but more often than not, people trading and gambling away hundreds of dollars in skins ended up giving the game a try. As a result, though the skins and cases themselves gave CSGO a burst in popularity, this new gambling side attraction served to introduce more and more people to the game. In August of 2012, after the game's release, CSGO had approximately 15,475 average concurrent players according to SteamCharts.com. In October, this number had dropped by over 5,000 players, leaving 10,000 active users. This was presumably due to the initial backlash by some long-term fans. By the beginning of 2013, in January, the user base had jumped back up to 16,000, and this number continued to go back and forth, steadily climbing by a few thousand users per month until December of 2013, when we saw the first massive spike in users. Over 16,000 new players, and if we keep looking through the year of 2014, it's more of the same. Over 27,000 in August of 2014 alone, over 50,000 in January of 2015, bringing the grand total up to 234,070 average concurrent players. What gives? CSGOLounge.com launches sometime in mid-2013. The earliest snapshot of the site that I can find on the Wayback Machine is in September of 2013. The first ever CSGO betting site. And as the success of CSGO Lounge grew, so did the number of betting sites we would see crop up as the game grew in popularity and neared 400,000 concurrent users by the end of 2015. This all came to a head when the infamous CSGO gambling bust of 2016 happened. Without going into too much detail, some YouTubers and streamers were caught promoting a CSGO gambling site that they owned. These owners of the CSGO betting site, CSGO Lotto, would make YouTube videos or do streams where they would win insane amounts of money betting skins while allegedly controlling their odds from behind the scenes. This situation was the last straw when it came to gambling in CSGO, and Valve themselves, despite the massive profits they were probably getting from it, decided to finally put an end to the gambling problem once and for all. That doesn't stop some websites from existing to this day, using Steam trades as a mechanism to get around Valve's roadblocks. But for the most part, the fact that you can get banned from Steam from participating in gambling scares away most users from the prospect. Still, the good that came out of this entire situation was that more and more people were talking about CSGO. Word of mouth is priceless, and that is all CSGO ever needed to begin the surge in popularity to the level we see today. I mentioned earlier that CSGO peaked at 2.5 million viewers on Twitch. Well, that peak was just in October of this year during the PGL Major in Stockholm. That number is unprecedented in CSGO history, marking not only a milestone for the game as a whole, but showing us that the player base and interest surrounding CSGO has only grown. With concurrent players peaking at over 1 million, you have to wonder what exactly is it about this game that has caused it to only grow exponentially over time. Now, we've spoken a lot about numbers and the history of CSGO thus far, but have yet to really go into detail as to what makes CSGO so special. I would like to break down the mechanics of CSGO into a few parts. Gunplay. Gunplay in CSGO is super unique. There are a few FPS games out there that claim to have realistic gun mechanics like Tarkov, Squad, Insurgency Sandstorm, the Arma series, and so on. And I can assure you that CSGO is not trying to be difficult in a realistic sense like the other FPS games I mentioned.
Where's his head? Where's his head?
CSGO's difficulty in gunplay is due to it being fine-tuned to be an esport. What I mean by this is, rather than pushing for the utmost realistic, the developers of CSGO have focused its gunplay on rules that can be understood. If done perfectly, you could theoretically never miss. Spray patterns, differing play styles, varied gun mechanics, these are the elements that go into making CSGO's gunplay what it is. You need to learn to play with each gun separately, understanding its strengths and weaknesses, so you can better put yourself in situations that would benefit your weapon of choice. You would rather use a scout from a distance, for example, than up close and personal like you would a shotgun. That's obvious. But despite there being preferable positions for these guns, the rules aren't so rigid as to prevent you from making it out of a disadvantageous situation if you know how to control your weapon.
Night should be somewhat exciting.
Beat their ass.
Movement in CSGO comes down to a few different things. Firstly, you need to know how to b-hop. I'm just kidding, but b-hopping can actually be really good though. High-key, I've seen some crazy b-hop plays. Anyway, CSGO involves not only knowing the various ways you can move, i.e. taking your knife out to run faster, shifting to walk slowly and silently, and yes, b-hopping, but it is also understanding when it's appropriate to perform those actions. A person who understands how movement works can jump and scout someone like Kay Cooley.
Players who've stepped up phenomenally for their side.
Can't believe what I'm witnessing right here. Wow. Get out of here.
Because you know that on the way down after jumping, your gun becomes suddenly more accurate. Shout out to 3 Clicks Philip for that breakdown. It also means that you can learn subtle tricks, like when you miss a sniper shot with the op, you can take your knife out to cancel the animation of your gun resetting, and because you have your knife out, you can run or b-hop to safety if the enemy suddenly starts shooting back. Having good movement in CSGO is essential to being skilled at the game, just as much as understanding gunplay is. The last meaty thing that I think makes CSGO unique is the concept of positioning. This concept is present in more recent titles like Valorant that take deep inspiration from CSGO, but I still think that CSGO's vision of the importance of positioning is what makes it a uniquely skillful experience. Positioning in CSGO is extremely important and can mean the difference between winning and losing a round. Positioning can be broken down into 2 concepts in my mind: your position in relation to your teammates and your position in relation to the enemy. What do I mean by this? Let's give an example. Let's say I'm on Dust 2. My team is on the T side. We are trying to decide which bomb site we should hit. My team breaks out into what is known as default position, spreading around the map trying to fish for information on where the enemy is. Blue throws a flash onto B site, gets an incendiary thrown his way in response. He also got shot at from the back of Plat by an opper who missed him. He tells the team, at least 2 on B. The middle player, Purple, goes up mid and spots a rifler watching catwalk. 1 mid, she says. Orange and Green go up A long and kill a CT player sitting at the corner watching doors. Killed 1 long, Green says. They continue forward and spot a lone player on A site. 1 A site, Orange says. Now let's gather the information we know and understand. There's at least 2 players towards B site, a third in mid, and 1 dead A with another on site. It can be presumed that with 1 player down on long, there's only 1 player remaining close to the A site. The team bursts into action. Purple smokes the box in mid, limiting the mid player's vision and rushes up the catwalk, checking corners as they make their way to A site. At the same time, Green and Orange are pushing long and smoke off CT to alienate the mid player even further. The remaining CT player on A site manages to take out Orange, but Purple makes quick work of him after pushing Cat, while the CT player is focused on Green and long. Blue goes through the lower tunnels in mid doors and tries to catch out any players rotating the catwalk from B site. Purple chucks a Molotov into CT spawn to delay the CT push onto A site. This is how a typical round in a Counter-Strike pug might go at its most basic level. Please don't get on me about this being unrealistic, like if you're super good at the game, like I'm sorry, I'm just, this is an example for new people. And in this example, I was able to demonstrate the fundamentals of CSGO positioning. First, the players on T tried to understand where the CT players were. By doing this, they were able to paint a mental picture that allowed them to understand where the weak points in the CT defense were. This was positioning based on the enemy. Then, they positioned themselves to assist their teammates. For instance, Green and Orange walked up long together, prepared to trade a kill. That is to say, if Green had died to the player at the corner of long, Orange would have been there to defeat the CT player in response. We can see this same positional advantage at work when Purple pushes catwalk. Even though Orange died to the CT player, Blue kept the CT player's attention so Purple could walk up and surprise him. Lastly, Blue makes sure Purple won't get killed from behind because he is watching the rotate onto Catwalk. Finally, the team used their utility, like the flash Blue used to bait out a nade from the enemy, the smokes they threw on the box to cross, the smoke to block off vision from CT spawn, and the Molotov thrown at the end to prevent a push that helped to control the enemy's positioning. By limiting what their enemy could see or where they could go, they limited the places where an enemy could be. Controlling and limiting the enemy's position and what information they have, in most cases, is way more important than being able to out-aim someone. It is this highly coordinated sense of teamwork that makes CSGO so addicting for so many. Nothing feels better than to successfully bait someone into showing their back to a teammate, or flashing a teammate in and seeing a 3K appear on the kill feed, or getting boosted onto mid-box and aiming down the loser sitting white box for the last 3 rounds who keeps killing Blue because he runs down mid with no utility. What the heck is wrong with this guy? CSGO is fun. It's just fun. And despite, you know, the usual tryhards who backseat way too hard when you're trying to clutch, and those losers who try to flirt with me because I'm the only female they've spoken to since talking to their mother upstairs in the last 3 months, this is one addiction I hope I never kick. Because it's introduced me to so many amazing friends, some who I'm still friends with after 7 years, despite us living across the country and never meeting in person before. Because this game can bring people together in ways that are impossible to quantify. Whether you're a pro team with some of the most talented people the game has ever seen, winning your first major after years of trying, or a group of old friends who think that they're way better than they are because they were B- on ESEA one time, the thing that keeps people coming back to CSGO is the same. It's just fun. So, should you get into CSGO in 2021? Is CSGO dying? Is it still worth it? Well, I'm going off script here, but I'd say go for it. This game is freaking awesome. Like, I can't tell you how many times like I've gotten like an epic like 3K or 4K and like clipped it and threw it on metal just to like show my friends. Like, honestly, there's something about getting good at this game that pumps my adrenaline, unlike anything that I've ever done in my life. You know, I may not be the best player, I may not be like super duper like pro or elite or whatever, but anytime I get a win in this game, it's just like the ultimate high. If you've played other competitive games, you might be a little hesitant to get into yet another competitive video game, but I can assure you that this one's worth it. So yeah, if you enjoyed my little rant, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This has got to be like my longest video ever. And make sure you subscribe if you want to see more video essays just like this one. I'm going to be writing a lot more of these and editing them all together. So yeah, if that sounds entertaining to you, then please subscribe, like the video. Also check out my Twitch channel. That'll be in the description, where you can catch me playing games live. You know, my audience loves to talk to me, and I'm sorry if you don't like that I'm a VTuber, but you know, it's my way of staying anonymous. So I hope you understand. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.